All right, good morning. Welcome to Mindfulness for Busy People on July 17th. I am practicing with some new formats for mindfulness to try and get some more busy people involved. So let me first invite you to be as busy as you feel like you need to be this morning. If you are walking around, or if you are making coffee, or if you are emptying the dishwasher, or whatever it is that you feel like you need to be doing, I want to assure you that you can also be doing this. And I am coming to you from my counseling and outdoor center and just welcoming you to one of your human capacities that you might not always utilize. So I wonder if, as we get going, if you could just look around to where you are, and if you could name 10 things that you appreciate about where you are. We got 10 fingers. So see if you can name 10 things you appreciate about where you are. And hopefully you have some water nearby. Since we all woke up on the water planet, and water keeps everything thriving and moving, I want to encourage you to, every time you pause or take a break, now and today, to grab some water, replenish, refresh yourself. And you've got 10 things you appreciate about where you are. I wonder if you can find 5 things about how you are. Like, for example, how are your feet on the floor? How are your shoulders to your ears? How is your stomach? Is it hungry or full? How is your head? Let's see if you can notice 5 things about how you are. Your thoughts, your emotions, your posture. There's a lot more than 5. And then take a moment just to orient yourself to the day, the month, the year, your age, stage of life that you might be in, and goals that you might be pursuing. Short-term goals, midterm goals, long-term goals. Yeah. And so, if this is as far as you can go with us, have a good day, and we look forward to seeing you back again. Or if you want to keep going with us, we're going to do some grounding. I'm going to invite you, whether you're sitting or standing, to just lift your heel off the floor one at a time. As you lift your heel off the floor, see if you can shift your weight to the side that is not lifting. Then see if you can lift your heel high enough to actually like stretch your toes, like all of them. See if you can spread your toes out. You can stretch all of them. And just notice how this feels. What pace are you going at? That's your pace for right now. Don't need to change it. Don't need to name it. Yeah, and just keep one heel up and just pump that heel up and down about 8 to 10 times. Did you know that the calf is the secondary heart muscle? Yeah, it pumps circulation from the lower body up back to the heart. And then change sides. Stay on the same calf and pump it 8 to 10 times. Whatever you're thinking about is fine. Just keep thinking about it. And it's also fine if you find it a little bit difficult to stay here. Maybe you're getting pulled, wanting to get some things done. Just welcome that and be here as much as you can. Step away, come back. And continuing grounding, I want to ask you to check in with your senses. And so, name something that you're seeing. And if you want to challenge yourself, close your eyes and play this mindful game of senses. What are you seeing? And then, right here in this present now, what do you smell? Try not to think too hard about it. It's okay if it doesn't really have words, or maybe it's kind of vague or a combination of. It's more about the noticing than about the accuracy. And now notice, what are you tasting? What is the taste in your mouth? And next, what do you feel on your skin? Anywhere on your skin? What sensations are touching up against your skin? And what do you hear? What are the sounds coming into your ears? And the sixth sense that we have is knowing, that comes from lower in your torso. So, what is it that you know from a gut level, from a heart center? What are you knowing? And take a deep breath and sigh it out. Don't be afraid to make a sound. And if this is as far as you can go with us today, then we look forward to seeing you next time. And always return to any one of these mindful games or exercises that you find pleasant or useful. If you're continuing, we're going to move to gratitude. And I invite you to take a deep breath using your hands and arms. So you're going to sweep your arms out with your inhale, raise up overhead. Exhale, just come down to the center. And continue that as you think of gratitude and beauty. Gratitude and beauty. What do you have to be grateful for that is beautiful? And next, what about gratitude and opportunity? Gratitude and opportunity. I'm going to take my exhale and a side stretch. Inhale, exhale down. How about gratitude and supports? Exhale. And how about gratitude and release? Gratitude, things that you are released from or that you were experiencing, are no longer experiencing. Gratitude and release. I'm going to round my back forward now. And circle with the arms, gratitude and release. Can you remember back to when there was something going on that is no longer going on? And have you released yourself from that? And invite you to shake your arms out, shake your shoulders, move the energy particles in and around you, shake them up, move them around. And do that until you feel tired. Then rest and check in and see how you're feeling. Do you feel more like yourself? Do you feel more here, more in the present? Do you feel less busy, more hopeful? So, we're going to move on to some breathing exercises. If you have to run, and this is as far as you could go, we look forward to seeing you next time. If you can stick around, we're going to use our hands to help with breathing, and you won't be able to see mine entirely, but you're going to put one hand on your chest, one hand on your diaphragm, so that's just below your sternum. And as we take a deep breath in, we're going to try and raise both hands so that they move. We're going to try and exhale so that both hands relax down together. Now we're going to complicate it a little bit. We're going to only inhale into one hand at a time and exhale from that same hand. So we'll start with the one on top. So don't let the bottom hand move. Now move the bottom hand, not the top. Go back to the top hand. Go back to the bottom hand. Back to the top. And to the bottom. One more time each. And relax your hands, relax your breathing. There must be a bazillion breathing exercises, so just see what you notice about that one. How it feels for you. Is it one that you might return to? And now we're going to take our hands and put them on your rib cage. So maybe you can count some of your ribs there. And you're going to breathe into your hands here so that your sides move out and then in. And they may not move out very far, but that's where you want the movement to be. So as you breathe, expand from your ribs. Your lungs actually wrap around your chest anyway. So think about sending air into like the full capacity of the lung on each side. Now try not to make your breaths deeper, but still just send them into your side. And just notice, how does it feel for you and your body to practice side breathing. And relax your arms down, shake them out. Raise your shoulders up a few times, drop them down, raise them up, drop them down. Maybe this is as far as you can go today, and you need to travel on to what's calling your attention. Know that you can go and you can come back all the time, every time. If you're continuing, we're going to just do some more movement before we enter into our series this month, which is returning to child's mind. So I'll invite you to bring your feet out wide, wider than your hips, and pardon my low production quality and that you can't see the movements that I'm telling you, but they are light and easy, and feel free to modify them according to your comfort level. I'll start to move your hips back, side, and forward. So your knee's going to bend with that too, just like we were in the lunge. But see if you can ease back on the effort, and if you can relax your hips and your knees, keeping the soles of your feet into the floor. Let's go the other direction. Put your attention on your body, on noticing any messages that your body might bring. Bring your feet closer together, but put one foot out in front, standing on one leg. You're going to point and flex the toe in front. And I just have my hands on my hips, kind of in the back, opening up my chest a little bit. Keep your toe lifted and then slightly sit back. And then, according to your comfort level, lean forward towards your knee, your forward knee, as far as you would like to feel a stretch in the back of your leg and your glute. And roll yourself back up. Roll your shoulders a few times. Try and roll your shoulders from a relaxed effort. And your attention is just on being here, moving with your body. Of course, it'll fluctuate, but whenever you bring it back to your leg, your shin, your hamstring. So switching, putting the other foot in front, pointing and flexing your toe a few times. Sometimes it might help to give a little bit of meaning to be able to keep your attention here, like, maybe notice what your foot does for you all day, or your knees can add some appreciation, helps lock in your attention a little bit. And then lean back, keeping that front toe lifted, bend from your waist as far down as you would like to stretch the back of your leg. And roll yourself back up. Then bring your feet under your knees, knees under your hips. So you may have to tilt your hips forward a little bit to get them over your knees. Bring your ribs over your hips, your shoulders over your ribs. You may have to pull them back a little bit. Your ears over your shoulders, and the top of your head to the top of the sky. And your fingertips are reaching long towards the floor. Reach your toes out as far as they will go in front of you. And see how much of your attention you can put to holding this posture, keeping all of these pieces in alignment. Then see if you can do that with like 10% less effort. Can you just do it a little bit more relaxed? Closing our eyes helps to channel our attention. You might notice that you're noticing yourself from the inside out. Maybe you're seeing your knees over your ankles as it looks from the inside. Or maybe you're noticing yourself as if you were seeing yourself from the outside. That's called the mind's eye. And just notice how it's seeing. And I'd love to welcome you to remember why you chose to be here. Just circle back to your intention. Why mindfulness? Why did you choose your health? And just see if you can settle into that why. Kind of stake yourself into that choice. Maybe bring yourself back to it when your attention moves. And I'm going to invite you to think about what comfort would feel like now. Are you already comfortable? Or is there a different position you could be in to be more comfortable? invite you to do that to find comfort. I'll try something. I think this is gonna, the glare is bad. While you're doing that, I am working on some formatting video. I think I will shift my position, so find your comfort space. Grab your water if it's nearby. And welcome to a deeper dive into mindfulness. We're still busy people, but we're going to return to a child's mind using a children's book. Maybe review a little bit about a child's mind. Take a moment to ponder some of the attributes, the natural, uninhibited qualities of a child's mind. And even better, if you can reflect back onto yourself as a child, what were some of the natural, uninhibited qualities that you possessed? And how you feel about those qualities, or maybe where they've went, any beliefs that you have about being childlike, having childlike qualities. We're not here to change those, but it's good just to notice what's already there. And how might it be for us to, or how do you think it might impact your life if you were able to welcome back those child qualities into adult capacities, skills, decisions, life? And does it really have to be binary of, or dualistic thinking of child or adult? Or can they both exist? And if they can both exist, what if they both existed consciously and intentionally? How would that enrich in your life and your relationships? And so today I'm going to read you a story that is written by um, a local colleague who actually collaborated with me on some mindfulness sessions in the past. Her name is Amy Starkey, and she wrote a book called The Little Girl Who Lost Her No. I'm sorry that it's blurry. I don't know how to make it not blurry. I'll read you the words. And you can find this book on Amazon. This book is going to capture some adult themes of um, that are certainly cultural and from a white cultural standpoint, um, as the author is white. And some of the themes are our inherent needs and our strategies to meet those needs, our striving to be good, to be viewed as good, our patterns of unconscious thinking, or a word I like to use is mind blindness, the assumptions that we make, the presence and reality of our authentic self, the power of fear, and how we protect ourselves by suppressing our authentic self. So, story is about a girl who lost her no, and she's posting signs that say, "Missing the word no. If found, please call 880-314-7137." The girl says, "Yes, yes, 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 in so many ways." But you can see her eyes are wide and her mouth is open, and she doesn't really mean yes. But she says, "Once there was a girl about your age who was missing her no. She was always saying yes to everyone and everything, but when she wanted to say no, her no was nowhere to be found." The little girl always said yes to her parents because she knew that listening to them was the right thing to do. She enjoyed making them proud and loved them both very much, and they loved her very, very much too. When her mom asked her to make her bed or clean her room, she always said yes. When her dad asked her to do her homework or play with her baby brother, she always said yes. And she thought to herself, "I feel good when I keep my room clean and help around the house." Sometimes at school, her teacher, Mrs. Miller, would ask her to collect everyone's worksheets. The little girl always said yes to Mrs. Miller because she liked to be a good helper. It made her feel good about herself to have an important job at school. She would say to Miss Miller, "Here are all the tests, Miss Miller," with a smile. She didn't mind saying yes to her parents or her teacher, but sometimes the little girl wanted to tell people no, especially when they asked her to do things she really didn't want to do. There was just one problem. She didn't know how to say no. She couldn't find her no. She looked for it everywhere. Where did her no go? First, she looked under her bed. Nope, no was not under there. Then she looked inside her toy box, but her no was not in there either. She even looked in the cookie jar. Thought maybe she left it in there, but her no was not in the cookie jar either. Were just some chocolate chips. I never say no to the cookie jar myself. She needed to find her no soon because there were times when she really didn't want to say yes at all. Like the day at school when Jimmy Stevens, the school bully, came up to her at lunch and yelled, "Give me your cookies." The little girl didn't say no because she was afraid. Instead, she just said, "Okay, yes, here you go," and handed her cookies over to Jimmy. Saying yes to Jimmy didn't feel good at all, but when he yelled at her, she couldn't find her no. She said yes instead of saying no, and then she felt mad. A week later, she was sitting at her desk taking a spelling test. She studied very hard every night for the test, and she was sure she would ace it. Emily Conley sat next to her in class. After Mrs. Miller handed out the spelling test and walked back to her desk, Emily whispered to the little girl, "Hey, how do you spell action? I don't want to fail the test. Come on, tell me." The little girl wanted to say no. She worked hard studying the spelling words all week. It wasn't fair that Emily would pass the test by cheating. She wanted to say no to Emily. "I'm not giving you the answers." But just like with Jimmy and the cookies, she couldn't find her no. All that would come out of her mouth was, "Yes, Emily, action. ACTION." "No talking," shouted Mrs. Miller. Phew, the little girl could have gotten into big trouble if Mrs. Miller would have caught her giving Emily answers to the spelling tests. But the little girl did not feel good about cheating, and when Emily asked her for the answers, she couldn't find her no. She said yes instead, and now she felt guilty. On Thursday, the little girl invited her neighbor friend Glinda over to her house. While they were playing, Glinda noticed the little girl's stuffed animal, Scruffy. Scruffy was a cute black and white puppy, and he was the little girl's absolute favorite of all stuffed animals in her entire collection. "Oh, Scruffy is so cute. I wish he was mine," said her friend. "Do you think I could borrow him?" Glinda asked. So the little girl thought about it, "But I really don't want to let Glinda borrow Scruffy." The little girl remembered what happened all of the other times that she let Glinda borrow stuff. Glinda borrowed her doll and never gave it back. She borrowed a book, but had ripped several of the pages. And then there was a time Glinda borrowed her markers. When she returned them, the purple one was missing. The little girl really liked her friend Glinda and wanted to make her happy, but Scruffy was her favorite stuffed animal of all, and she didn't want anything bad to happen to him. She tried to say no to Glinda, but all that would come out was, "Yes, you can borrow Scruffy." Again, she couldn't find her no. As much as she wanted to say it, it wouldn't come out. She said yes to Glinda instead of no, and now she felt sad. That weekend, she was sitting at the table eating dinner with her family, and her mom asked, "Why aren't you eating your peas?" "I don't like peas," she replied. "But, sweetie, you always eat peas. Since when do you not like peas? Now eat them before they get cold." "No," the little girl said firmly. "What did you say?" asked her mother. "I said, no!" At the top of her lungs, she screamed. "No, I don't like peas. And no, you can't have my cookies. And no, I'm not giving you the answers. And no, you can't borrow Scruffy. No, no, no. And I definitely don't like peas. No." The little girl shouted so loudly that her baby brother began to cry. She was shocked. All this time, her no had been missing, and finally she found it. It was hiding deep down inside her all along. "I'm sorry for yelling at you, Mommy," she cried. "I didn't mean to. It's just that I couldn't find my no, and then all of a sudden it finally came out." "It's okay, honey," her mom said. "I'm glad you told me how you really feel. Next time, I'll be sure to listen to what you're trying to tell me, but I want you to tell me your feelings without shouting. And I don't want you to eat peas if you don't really like them." That's when the little girl realized that it was okay to tell others how she really felt, even if it meant saying no to them. She finally found her no, and it was okay to use it. The following week at school, Jimmy was at it again. He saw the cookies he had packed in her lunch and tried to get them from her. "Give me your cookies," he yelled. Only this time, the little girl was not afraid to tell him no. She quickly jumped up from her seat and shouted, "No, these are my cookies, Jimmy. Get your own cookies." Jimmy was stunned. No one had ever stood up to him before. He just turned around and walked away, saying, "Whoa." The little girl had found her no, and now she felt brave. Later that day, it was time for another weekly spelling test, and once again, Emily leaned over and whispered to the little girl, "Hey, how do you spell direction? Are you going to tell me or not?" The little girl quickly replied, "No, N-O. That's how I spell it," and raised her hand to let Mrs. Miller know that Emily was trying to cheat on the test. "Emily, you know that cheating is wrong. I will have to call your parents about this." "I'm glad you told me, Mrs. Miller said to the little girl. "You did the right thing." "Hooray, I did it. I used my no." She had used her no with Emily, and now she felt proud. That evening, while she was playing at Glenda's house, she told Glenda that she wanted Scruffy back. But, can I just keep him one more week, please?" Glenda begged. The little girl really cared about her friend Glenda, but she also really loved Scruffy and wanted him back. She didn't want to hurt Glenda's feelings, but she didn't want to miss or worry about Scruffy anymore either. "No, I'm sorry, Glenda. I'm going to need Scruffy back," she said firmly. "Okay, here you go," Glenda said as she handed Scruffy back to the little girl and smiled. The little girl had used her no to get Scruffy back, and now she felt happy. A few nights later, her family had peas again at dinner. "Honey, would you like some peas?" her mom asked. "No, no, thank you, Mommy. I don't want any," she replied. Her mom smiled at her. "Okay, I'm glad you told me. And good job using your no calmly this time," she said. "I'm very proud of you." She still listened to her parents and teachers and said yes whenever they told her to do something important or asked her to help them. But she remembered to use her no anytime she needed to with her friends, classmates, bullies, or for anyone or anything that made her feel bad or upset inside. The little girl had finally found her missing no, and she never wanted to lose it again. Amy hopes that all of us find and keep our no. So just let that settle and simmer as things were probably coming up for you. Just let yourself notice how the story would be written if it was written about you. How in touch are you with your feelings as the little girl's feelings helped inform her yes or her no? And are you carrying any assumptions or any beliefs or rules that you've been taught about saying no or about responsibility for others' feelings? Are there any intentions that you want to set? Any reflections, curiosities you want to follow up on about your no, about your feelings, about being your authentic self? I'd love to send you a breath of gratitude and appreciation for making it this far, for diving deeper into mindfulness. Mindful people make a better world. And so I look forward to seeing you here again and encourage and remind you that any mindful game or exercise, however small or long it is, will restore you to your best humanity. So use it well. Take care.